Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. Today is September 6th, 2022, and we are now moving into our work session after a public hearing. And at this time, we're getting to our speaker appearances, and then we'll move into our action items. Brian Campbell. Mr. Campbell, as you know, is that green light on there? There it is. Okay, there it is.
I'm Brian Campbell, 46 Main Street in Camilla. Councilman for 20 years. And when Councilman Holland and Morgan, when y'all was sworn in, I made a statement that you represent your districts. Not your friends, your neighbors, people you work with, you go to church with. When you're sworn in, you represent all of them. And that's the way it should be. I served under 5 mayors and another council. And we didn't always agree, but we agreed to disagree. We worked through things that were called work sessions, committee meetings. We went back, city manager brought back spreadsheets, bids, anything we needed. We might have met 3 or 4 times when we would get up. We didn't always vote for the numbers, we're close to it. But right now, I don't see this working like it did back then. We got one person that makes the agenda, one person that comments on every item on the agenda. And then it's discussed. 3 councilmen, we discuss things, and one person calls for the vote. And it's split 3 and 3. And 100% of the time, it's always split and ruled for Camilla North, the 3 councilmen. And 100% of the time, all 3 councilmen are not right, and all 3 councilmen are not wrong. So I just challenge y'all to try to work together, do what's best for Camilla. Camilla South feel like we're being represented. We've got 3 great councilmen, but they're not being heard. I appreciate y'all working on that. But we've done a lot of things, and I just wish y'all would keep that. It's not the city, it's a form of government, run by manager and city council. Right now, it's not working that way. But all I've got to say about anything else is that during COVID up on the 4th floor, we went a meeting 4 hours about COVID, and I made a statement that 6 heads are better than 1. And that's true then, it's true now. And I encourage y'all all to work together. But like I said, we didn't always agree, but we tried to be cordial and work it out. So, just remember you represent all of Camilla, and that's the way it should be. And I appreciate that y'all work on that and work together more. I've had people call me, and I'm not anymore, and ask me questions and doing their work. They worry about where things are going. And it's not good for Camilla, it's not good for y'all, it's embarrassing to me. So y'all try to work together. The 3 councilmen from Camilla South, which I live in Camilla South.
And I'll give you 20 more seconds.
They're good people, they're good people, and they make good points, so if y'all will listen to them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Carson.
Everybody, my name is Carl Sharp. And I don't live in the city. I know it's my city. I worked in Camilla for 40 years. My mother worked in the top floor of this building back in the early 40s when she was 16 years old. I think the mom attended Camilla. I've ridden every street in Camilla on my bicycle. When I was a young boy, and I used to sell boiled peanuts right down Main Street. When I was in the 4th grade, we moved all the libraries so I know all about Camilla. I've been here a long time. I've probably been to more council meetings than anybody up here other than them. I go to church in Camilla, and I've served in a lot of county boards, a lot of city boards. And I do all this because I love Camilla. And I know somebody else who loves Camilla. My daughter, Lady Gilbert. She's the marketing and communications director. She was excited to take this job because it was an opportunity to showcase Camilla. She's worked in the county for all these years, and this was just another opportunity for her. But tonight, y'all gonna vote to eliminate her job, to save the city money, after we spent millions of dollars the last 6 months. Well, we all know the real reason, because Steve Sykes hired her. The city keeps talking about economic development, bringing tax dollars. But who wants to move to Camilla with all the negativity and controversy going on now today? And all you got to do is look at our local paper to see it. People are drawn to cities where there's harmony and people that work together, which is not going on in the city of Camilla today. It's a new day, all right. A new day for who? For some that don't pay taxes but make all these critical decisions that is not in our city's best interest.
Thank you, sir. All right, Tara Shire.
I want to speak at the next meeting, or next week.
I got you covered. Yes, ma'am. Susan Wright. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. You ready, tell me when you're ready?
Yeah, so, and I know I called you out, but if you can just state your name for the record
Okay,
again?
I'm Susan Ratcliffe.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're blessed, so I'm ready too. In September of 2021, and that's a little up to a year ago, it was identified from the strategic planning process that the city needed to improve communication internally and externally. One of the action items identified in the plan was community engagement. These 3 things: improving communication internally, improving communication externally, and engaging, talking, or listening to the citizens of his community and the business owners. All these strategies that y'all voted on a year ago can best be done by someone who is invested in our community. And when I say invested, this is somebody that eats, sleeps, shops, goes to church here, someone who's involved serving the community, somebody who calls Camilla home, someone who knows and loves our people and our community. Who is better to promote and make our city visible than an actual citizen who knows us and has a heart for us, and has chosen to raise their family here? Your proposal of outsourcing, and I guess that's what I'm directly speaking to, reminds me of when Walmart, the chain Walmart, but especially Camilla, got their checkout machines, self-service checkout machines. Well, I told everybody, there's no interaction anymore. Nobody says, "How you doing, Miss Radley? You taught me in 6th grade," and "have a blessed day." That kind of personal interaction, because those people know me and I know them. There's no interaction anymore. So, what I'm trying to say is that we in Camilla, and I think y'all all agree with me, we pride ourselves in being personable and engaging. That's what makes this small town great. That's why I don't live in Atlanta. I want to be known and know the people. Outsourcing isn't in keeping with what we do here, nor is it good what I understand, Ms. Gilchrist has offered to take the position at a lower cost without the benefit of insurance. That would be a substantial deduction. She cares about this community and she wants what's best for us all. So I feel like that we are spending money like crazy in all these other areas, and we're cutting out a part of our citizens' heart. We're cutting out a citizen. You know, tonight I was listening to you all listen to these citizens. That's fabulous. They have a concern and they need to be listened to. Well, who knows better than the people that represent them and the people of Camilla? Not some outsource that doesn't know us at all. Your focus of moving Camilla forward.
And Ms. Rockley, I'll give you 20 more seconds.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Requires marketing expertise. You keep talking about economic development. You know, that's a big component of it, marketing. The strategic plan clearly identifies that marketing as an area of concentration, and it's working well. I am asking you all to consider what you're getting with a current position and a person who loves her community. I'm asking that you revisit the proposed recommendation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rockley. And Ms. Melanie Kemp, there's not a check here, but I don't want to skip you if you wanted to speak.
I do, but I came in hurry and I not only left my notes, I left my glasses.
That's all right.
But I think I know what I was going to say. It's glasses work.
That's all right.
Don't start my time now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I got it.
Now, I'm very strong. You don't mind? Let me see. Just give me a second. Now I'm lying. Wait, that's making me drunk. I too care about Camilla.
And if you don't mind, Ms. Kemp, I know I called you out, but if you can state your name for the record and you can go right on into it.
Melanie Kemp.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, you're from Atlanta. You don't know my Camilla. I grew up here. This was a fabulous place to grow up as a young child. It's not now. It's not now. There's more division in our community, mainly that comes from these meetings. We stand up here, we talk to y'all, we try to present how we feel. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you. You're going to vote exactly what the mayor says, and that's it. But you're not fooling us. We know what you're doing. But I'm telling you, you are going to Camilla. And I hope you stay here. I hope when you run Camilla and there's no money left and all the businesses have gone, you'll go back to Atlanta where you came from. But we will be left here. We are trying to get you to work together, and you're not. You're not. You don't care what I say. It doesn't matter. All right, now for the real part. I want to talk to you about Ms. Gilchrist. If what you're doing with her position is solely based on money, she has given you a way out. I know, Mr. City Manager, that she came to see you. I know that she talked to you in person. I know that she sent you an email, and I know she followed up in a couple of days with a letter. I also know you never responded back to her, but she told you that she would be willing to take a pay cut and no benefits if she could stay on. And this may not be a full-time job, you may can cut it back, but you haven't even responded to her. And I think that's sad. And another thing, I don't understand where that sweet little boy that showed up for the council meetings when we were upstairs, that came and took notes and had a little notebook that said City of Camilla notes. He lives in the city of Camilla. They pay city taxes. And yet, who are y'all to say, just because he chooses to go to school in Baconton, that he can't participate in a program that he's enthusiastic about? How many of you ever taught high school? I did. Let me tell you something. To get a child that's got any type of initiative to do
All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Utah.
I'm Julie Tucker, and I live at 178 Court Drive. And I have said this at a previous council meeting, and so I'm going to say it again. I'm requesting that the deposit be put back of the $1.5 million back into the MEAC Trust Fund for the spray field project because it's my understanding we received a grant for part of that, and also a forgiveness grant and plus a loan. I'm assuming a low interest rate loan. So there's no reason for us to keep that money in a low bearing savings account here in Camilla when it could go back and be drawing more interest. That just makes good financial sense to put it where it's going to draw the most interest. And my other request is that the city rebid the recent paving project. I was here and I listened to it, and it sounds like it's going to cost the city about $100,000 more, and that doesn't make sense either, to put out a bid and award it to somebody who's not capable or didn't have all the information, because it's my understanding we don't have a copy of that information available for the public on green backbone. And so those are my requests. And one other thing I'd like to know is on the, I think it's your item number, the youth counseling point number 7, the one where nonprofits can request that students work for them. Does that nonprofit have to be here in the city of Camilla, or is it Mitchell County? Who is the person, what is the nonprofit that can apply for those students to work for them and be paid out of this fund? So those are my requests. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Tucker. Ms. Spicer.
Good evening, everyone. It's been an intense meeting.
And Ms. Spicer, if you don't mind, even though I
I'm
called.
Sharinda Spicer,
Yes, ma'am.
and I'm here on behalf of myself and my husband, Roger Spicer. And speaking of growing Camilla, we saw some things that has made a big difference, put a new face on it, and we like it. So we thought that we would take and be a participant. Therefore, we bought 3 acres on 19, 400 on Highway 19 in Camilla, Georgia. In doing so, it has been an intense project. I'm sure many of you have driven by there. We spent quite a bit of money already, so I'm standing before the council today to request some grant money to assist us with the cleanup, with the demolition of the building, and then the removal of that debris as well. And that's what I'm requesting, the demolition and the cleanup. Now, you say, what are you all going to do? Our intent is to put a new face over there on Camilla. You can already see the face is changing. When we bought the building in the first week or the second week in August, we went to work, and now we're coming before the council in order to help us to continue to make a difference. Every little bit counts when you're trying to make change. So that's what I'm asking. Thank you for your time. Oh, I also want to make mention before I sit down, in case you all forgot, I went back and pulled when Quail Valley wanted a new face. And ours certainly would not cost this much, but theirs cost $12,000, up to $15,000. And it was approved unanimously. I would like to see the same thing for us, to be able to push this community forward in this season right here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Spicer. Okay. All right. Scott Wormer. state your name for the record.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm Charlotte Kimberly, and I reside in Camilla, Georgia. I wanted to talk to council, about some things that I've seen going on in the community, mainly the high-speed chases that have taken place, recently in the city of Camilla. Over on the north side of Camilla, over in Jester Homes area, Martin Luther King, Butler Street, Pecan Drive. There was a high-speed chase, may have been a little over a month ago, where it resulted in an accident out on Martin Luther King, which is still in south of city limits. My main concern is when there's a high-speed chase in the residential areas, there are children playing, there are people driving, there are people sitting in their yards. Anything could go wrong in a high-speed chase. The wrong maneuver by the cop or the person driving the car could result in a fatality of the residents as well as those who are involved in the high-speed chase. Jester Homes, Butler Street, Pecan Drive. Those are the two entrance and exit ways. I know that I'm a former law enforcement officer. You are trained when it's time to do a high-speed chase. Going 80, 90 miles on those small streets should not be, especially when you can block those streets off. You can block off Pecan Drive, you can block off Butler Street. Where's the car gonna go? Whoever's driving the car gonna do one thing. They're gonna get caught or they're gonna run. It's no reason that these high-speed chases should be going on the north side of town. And it's not just going on in that area, it's in other areas that there have been high-speed chases, namely Palm Street, Butler Street. We know that there are a lot of children on that street, and a lot of children be out walking. So my main concern is the high-speed chases. And then this, I keep hearing about the division in the council. I see progression with the council. I think if everybody work together and come to a median, then things will be better. It's not a white thing, it's not a black thing. People are not saying that that's what it all leads out to. It's not a white thing, it's not a black thing. It's coming together and doing what's better for what's best for the citizens of the city of Camilla. I'm a business owner, licensed business owner in the city of Camilla. It has been hard for me to get a building downtown to open a school there. I have been blocked on every hand trying to open a building until recently in the city of Camilla. It's happened. Now, I can truly say it has happened because of things that I've been seeing done with this council that has paved way for black business owners to begin to open storefronts in Camilla. There's no reason that there should be any empty buildings in the city of Camilla. There's grant money here that we as black business owners don't know about, but we have found out about it. But, you know, if we don't, and I would say this, we need to start coming to council meetings. I mean, and I say that for my north side community. We need to come to council meetings. Because if we don't address it to you all, you don't know. So that's all I have for the council. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. All right, so this is the work session speaker appearance form. And I know that there may have been some folks that came in afterwards, but if you didn't sign, that's okay. I'm asking right now, other than Ms. Shiver, who's going to speak at the call meeting, are there anyone else that, come on up, man. Ms. Bird.
Again, I'm Ms. McBurney, and I'm gonna agree with Ms. Spicer. This meeting is intense. I came here for the public hearing, and I just happened to say, but this meeting is very intense. And I pray that no one has hatred in their hearts, and we have to be accountable as residents in ourselves and stop feeding into the newspaper, because some of it is intensifying what's going on within our council. It's keeping them divided, and if we can just take some hatred out of our hearts and have some love, maybe, just maybe, we can work together and progress and see this city that you spoke about that we all love so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Ma'am, Ms. Kim? Thank you. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. I know it's important. I know it's important. So listen, I don't want to miss anybody now. We got a nice that would like to speak? Okay. Do me a favor, Ms. Burley. I'm gonna put, the initials here, but for the, work session portion of it, I'm gonna have you sign this one too after the fact. That's fine. Okay. All right. Going once. Anybody else? All right, and as Councilmember Tucker has pointed out, between now and then, if you feel something hits you, you'll have another opportunity at the call meeting. Okay? All right. All right, so at this time, we'll get into our action items for tonight's work session, and at this time, I'll turn it over to our city manager to get us started.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, council, citizens. Our very first item tonight is for the, our very first item tonight is for the public hearing for the millage rate. And it's the millage rate resolution. The resolution reads, whereas pursuant to Official Code of Georgia 48-5-32, the millage rate for the ad valorem taxes for the year of 2022 tax digest was brought before the City Council at a meeting held on September 12, 2022, and whereas all notices have been given as required by law, and whereas the 2021 millage rate was 7.245, and whereas after review, 2022, after full review of the tax rate and the needs of the city, the mayor and council find it appropriate to set the current millage rate at 7.245 mils. Upon consideration and vote, the mayor and council hereby set the millage rate at 7.245 mils for the city ad valorem tax digest for the year of 2022. So resolved this 12th day of September 2022. And I return it back to the mayor.
All right, so if, so that we understand, there's a couple things happening here. First, if you notice, this city council, will not be raising taxes. Yeah, so just know that part. The second part is that this is an action item for next week, so the public hearing will be, next Monday. So if you have any thoughts as it relates to the millage rate, please come on in and have a conversation just like we did earlier today. So I just want to make sure everyone understood that piece. So this is going to be part of the agenda for next Monday. However, part of our process is that to make sure this remains an action item for next week, I just need to see, are there at least 3 council members that are good with having this public hearing next week? All right, good deal. Thank you. All right, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, sir. Item number 2, Mr. Mayor, the tax commission's contract. The city of Camilla, parcel 2156, fee per parcel $2.75, total of $5,929. This contract is between the city of Camilla, Mitchell County Board of Commissioners, and the Mitchell County Tax Commissioners. Either party may terminate this agreement by giving 90 days written notice to the other party. If notice of other party is given by either party during an active billing cycle in which the municipal taxes have already been applied to your county bill, then such a termination will not occur until January 1st of the succeeding year. Please remit payment upon this receiving this contract. Please send $2,964.50 to Brian Brock, P.O. Box 373, Camilla, Georgia 31730. Please send $2,964.50 to Mitchell County Board of Commissioners, 5201 U.S. Highway 19 South, Camilla, Georgia 31730. Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, City Manager. So again, this will be an item to vote on next Monday. Again, for 3 hands from the council members that this will stay an action item. All right, thank you, Council.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it started. All right, number one, street paving contract, Councilman Paul.
First question would be to the city manager, has the contract been signed, or dollars will be further on the
Thank you, Mr. Council Member. That contract has been signed, and we've given them the notice to proceed, and we're expecting we're expecting them to start work in the next, say, 30 days.
Well, another part of my question would be that that process was riddled with errors of mistakes, and it was a poor presentation for the city of Camilla to request bids with the information not being accurate and correct. It was not advertised properly, and when it was presented to the council, we had two bids, one of them which had been withdrawn, and we did not see that bid. It just disappeared wherever, I don't know what happened to it, but one of the other important items was the bids ranged from like $31,900 up to $214,000. Now, me being in the banking business a long time, if you see that much disparity in a bid or any other transaction, there's obviously something wrong with it. Well, that was not addressed on this particular case. But this is a poor example of the way things are done around here, and it's gonna come back to bite you. Thank you.
All right. So let me say, and I apologize, Mr. City Manager, just give me just 1 second. I want everybody to understand this. That's the councilman's opinion. One more time, man. Please be quiet while these proceedings are going on. You had an opportunity. All right. That's his opinion. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Palmer. Citizens, what I want you to understand is this body asked me to bid out some roads. We put the bid out in our legal order and another publication to get the most people that we could possibly get to bid on this project. And we did that. The bids came in. We particular in the bid process said for you to bid by these specifications. 2 bidders came to the table. 1 bid came in according to specifications. The other one did not. That owner decided to withdraw their bids. Nothing in the law says I have to have 10,000 bids to let something on the street. We did it according to what we thought was right. And so the conversation about you didn't have it running for 2 weeks, we ran it into 2 separate publications, and if there was an error, then I would take it. But what I would tell you is that we took the most responsive bidder, the lowest bidder, and the most qualified person, because that's what the code says. I'm required to take the lowest bidder and the most qualified person for that job, and that's what we've done.
Yes, sir.
If the city money's involved.
And I apologize, Mr. Palmer, make sure that it's got green light on.
It requires 2 bids. We only had 1 bid that was presented to this body. You may have seen the other bid, I did not see it. But when a proposal is riddled with errors and you ask people for bids, the smart one would either, 2 ways they're gonna go. They're gonna withdraw, one of them withdrew, the other one's gonna overbid, and that's what happened. This job was overbid, over $100,000, and that's city money, is what we're talking about here.
Councilmember, I respect what you're saying, but I have 2 questions. First, you said it was riddled with errors. So I need to know what those errors are. Then you said something about 2 bidders and the rules say 1, 2, and I have not seen those. So what errors are you speaking of?
The amount of payment and the request for bids was not correct.
Okay, let me just say this to you, Councilman Palmer. This is the way it works, citizens and council. My responsibility is to write the bid according to specifications. It is also my responsibility to say to the bidders or the proposals, these are estimates. You are required to go to the job site and tell me what it's going to cost according to specifications. That's what we wrote. So if somebody went out there and bid on a project based on our estimates, it clearly says preliminary estimates. So the proposal is supposed to come back and say to us, you said 60 tons, and actually, Mr. Stroud, it's 80 tons. Okay, because you're responsible to go out there. If it was us who's going to tell them to all their tonnage, now we're saying we're taking all liability. So if they come up short, it's on us. That's why we tell them to go to the job site. And we clearly put that in the bid specification.
So what you're saying is it's okay for the city to put out misinformation?
I'm saying to you that when we write a bid specification, we say to the vendors, because on this particular project, that was not a pre-bid conference. We clearly said that. If you have any questions, you need any follow-up, here's my email address. But they are responsible to go out to bid the project, not us tell them. So that is not telling them what to do. That has been them being the contract, they come and tell us, according to our specifications.
I have a comment, please.
One second. Mr. Martin, you good? You have another question?
Not you.
Okay. Councilmember Tucker.
I think that we would be a little more comfortable if we could see the green backhoe bid. And that's where there's some discomfort in the fact that green backhoe is indicating that they left a copy of the bid with the city, but we don't have the bid. I think if we had the bid to look at, I think that would, but it's already been let now. So really there's not anything we can do other than learn from this. And I think that perhaps our lesson as a council is we need to expend the $1,500 that it takes for engineering cost to have a bid prepared by the engineer, just so we don't have this issue of what we feel, Mr. Stroud.
Who is we, ma'am? Can you please, so for the record, when you say we?
What I feel, Mr. Stroud, is that when I was asking the question that night, is the $214,000 a good bid? What I would have preferred you to have told me, rather than, yes, it is a very good bid, what I would have preferred you to have told me that night to help me in my decision making is, well, I had a bid for $31,900, but they withdrew it. That would have helped me to have said, hold on, let's go back and let's just slow down a little bit. But knowing that there was only one bid, being told that it was a good bid at $214, that was the information we were given as a council. Again, we're spending time now on something that it's water under the bridge, because the contract's already been signed, the notice to proceed has already been let. But I'm just saying from my perspective, I think that in hindsight, it would have been $1,500 well spent.
Thank you, Councilmember, if I may. There was a couple of things that you just said that was not quite accurate. I want you to understand that 31,900 or whatever it was from backhoe, once again, it's written in the specification how you should bid. They did not bid that way. I don't have the latitude to change it once they come to the table. I can only accept what Once I open that sealed envelope, this is how it works. When that envelope is open, and whatever I read, those are the numbers. I don't have the latitude to get them to explain it, to change it, none of that. Only what they did according to the specification. So you keep saying it's wrong. It is not wrong. I read what I saw. And when they decided that, oops, they took it back. So I didn't have it. They physically took it.
Did they take it back after you asked them for that to be the fixed cost?
No, ma'am.
Because
No,
that
ma'am.
again would not have been appropriate.
Okay.
I apologize, sir. Ma'am, you wasn't, so where is this information coming from?
We heard a presentation
From who?
presented last week
From who?
from a consultant with Green Backhoe.
Who is that?
Mr. Sykes presented it last week. And
Okay,
I
so I want to make sure that the public understands what's happening here. These are not questions coming from the council. I want everybody to understand that. These are not council members saying, after my estimation, after my research, here's what I found out. This information is being relayed from a separate third party representing the company that we're talking about. Everybody follow me on that? Now, I don't know what that's about. But what I will say is this, and I apologize, Mr. City Manager. I want to make sure that the record is clear. This is our city manager right here. When we give him the direction to do X, Y, Z, D, and E, as we've heard so many times before about council interference, if you will. We gave our city manager a directive, he followed through. So what I would ask council members to do going forward, that if you're speaking for someone else, state that for the record. If you're speaking for yourself as it relates to what we are asking our city manager for, please state that for the record. All right, floor is yours.
I think I've already clearly stated that this is a moot discussion at this point, and that we need to proceed because the contract has already been signed and the notice to proceed has already been issued. And I stated that, in my opinion, I would like to see that engineering going forward, that I think the $1,500 or so expense is well worth. I yield.
Ms. Parker.
I hadn't know, Mr. Mayor, that this information was retrieved by me. I looked it up. I came up with this. I did not depend on someone else. I am not speaking for someone else. Thank you. And
Appreciate you clearing that up.
perfectly clear.
I got
This thing is real with errors of the state.
it. Your opinion.
It's a poor way to do business.
In your opinion, sir.
I was just at this time, I don't think not neither one of us on this council are engineers that we supposedly want to do a job. But we definitely employ a city manager. A city manager, I would say for myself, is doing an outstanding job. Doing exactly what we asked of him to do. This information that is so riddle, it came before us from a non-citizen or a consultant. City manager put out the job. He just gave it to you exactly what took place, how it took place, and what is the process. There is nothing real. There is nothing he had to hide. But this council voted, I believe we all voted unanimously to pass this. We didn't have a concern again. And to talk about how much we are spending a piece of poor job. But yet we went and spent, and I can recall the roofing top on top of the police department safety complex when we bid $100,000 over the law bill. That we did this council, with the exception of 3. This happened while our sitting on this council. So let's talk about our due diligence and holding the citizen money accountable. Do we really want to go down that line? Because I don't think we really do. So let's start with the shenanigans and let's move forward with what we really got on the table. And we have a city manager doing a job that we asked of him to do. And City Manager Strauss, I appreciate you doing exactly that.
All right, so any other comments related to the street paving contract? And just so that everybody, if you missed all of that, 5 streets that should have been paved years ago are finally getting paved. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. No, ma'am. All right, Service Center, any other questions related to paving? All right, Service Center, ARPA funding, Councilman Burke.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, council members, and citizens. I come before you all tonight just for a discussion pertaining to the Mitchell Baker Service Center. We know that the Mitchell Baker Service Center has played a major impact in our community. It has helped a lot of our disabled adult individuals. And they also perform work in the community. And on last Thursday, at the Mitchell County Board of Health meeting, there was a concern there about sponsoring. And I was just thinking, we as a city of Camilla, I feel like that we could sponsor the Mitchell Baker Service Center and kind of award them at least $5,000. That's what I would like to suggest coming out of the opera fund. And this will help them to be able to plan different events, whatever activities they are having, they won't be short-handed. They can kind of have something to go on. And I'll yield the floor back.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Burley. And if I got to take a step back, Councilman Palmer, this was a discussion item. Is there an action that you're looking for as it relates to the street paving contract for next Monday?
Since the contract's already been there, I see it we move this point.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. And if I'm understanding you correctly, Councilman Burley, you would like to see this to the
Action item for next Monday.
Okay. Is there at least 3 council members that want to see us vote on ARPA funding for the service center at an amount of $5,000 on ARPA funds? At least 3 council members. Okay. So that's a council action item for next week.
Can I ask a question of the city manager, please? I am fully supportive of the Mitchell Baker Service Center. Have absolutely no problem with a $5,000 ARPA. I'll be supporting that, but is a sponsorship the right term? I think that we need to look at the language. I don't think the city can sponsor. But if there's a way that you can word it where we can be able to allocate $5,000 to them, but I don't think sponsorship is allowed.
Yeah, well,
Just
We-
we can
yeah.
word the wording, that's all.
no,
I'll fully support it.
yeah, I think Grant would probably be closer, but yeah, so, you know, I think it works either way, but to your point, that's fine. All right, you're good with that, Councilman Burke? Okay. Yes, sir. All right, Utility Assistance Extension, ARPA, Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Yes, sir. Good evening, council and our citizens. Happy to report on the great success our utility assistance program has done. We instituted these funds back in May, I want to say. This came out of just listening to our citizens' concerns about utility bills, and then also with us receiving those ARPA funds. These ARPA funds that we're discussing a lot often are federal monies that were sent down from the current administration for cities to utilize for projects such as this. Had a great conversation with our current facilitator of this program. Residents are really benefiting from this fund, and I am tonight seeking a consensus to allocate $10,000 more to this account for our community and to continue to be of assistance for those that are in need.
And I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. And so that everybody understands, I think it's estimated that we did about 40 plus families with this money. 5,000 for what we're calling regular citizens, if you will, and 5,000 for our seniors. And as Mayor Pro Tem has suggested, we want to do that again. The city of Camilla received $1.8 million in ARPA funds, and this is what this money is for. It is to help our citizens out as we continue to move through, hopefully, this post-COVID world. Any other comments related to this? All right, is there at least 3 council members that want to see this moved to an action item for next Monday? Okay. Yeah, so, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, we'll split it again? Correct. Okay. Everybody's good with that? All right. All right, before start name change for Stadium Complex, Councilman Paul.
Good evening, colleagues of the council, mayor, city manager, city clerk, and last but not least, you wonderful citizen. I bring before you this evening 2 items for discussion. And with high hope that we have a consensus of the majority of the council to move forward and giving the directive to the city manager to begin processing, gathering information, and talking with architects, consultants, and salary to obtain information to bring before this council in October on those findings and perhaps proposals for opportunities. Number 1, the Centennial Stadium name change. Back in July, to be exact, July 11, 2022, we approved adoption of ordinance number 2022-07-11-1, officially named name change of Centennial Stadium to the Centennial Fields of Camilla, Georgia. As of today, this ordinance is still out of compliance with the approval and adopted new ordinance that was passed back in July. Council, I ask that we give the directives to the city manager to move forward with this said item, that we may be ready to discuss and approve work to be done in October. 2, Tune Parks. Many of us have witnessed the impact that when we meaningfully and intentionally pour into the quality of life of our youth, it enriches lives that positively affect our community and our environment. Council, at this point in time, some may ask, is the improvements and investment into our youth all that comes before this council? I will before you, it's unwavering and always an ongoing process to enrich and improve upon the quality of life of our youth, but more importantly, our city. Council, I ask that we give the directives to the city manager to inquire on the green space on land that is adjacent to the pavilion that is located on Palm Street. Environmental portions, meaning restrooms, seating, additional seating at Tune Park, lighting, and last but not least, landscaping. Council, this is a part of the future growth of parks and funding that was already set aside for ARPA for the improvement and implementation of future parks. Mayor Owens, at this time I ask if there be any other council member like to brief the council on the item, please do so. And in conclusion, can we call for a consensus of this council to move forward directors to move forward with executing these city items.
All right, thank you, Councilman. So council members, and Councilman Pollard, correct me if I'm wrong, what the councilman is asking for is that are there at least 3 council members, hence a consensus, that can have the city manager with some degree of confidence start asking questions related to what it's going to take to get this done. And sometime in October, we'd be ready, hopefully, be able to vote on what that would actually look like, if you will. So right now, is there a consensus from the council to have the city manager go ahead and start making these serious entries into changing the name of the stadium and what it's going to take to get possession of the green space across the street from Toombs? Are there at least 3 council members that want to see that happen? Okay. So there you go, Mr. Signature. All right. Thank you, Council. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. The 6th item is a new STEAM facility discussion, meaning science, technology. We just added arts to the old STEM, if you guys remember. I know we got some former educators and educators in here that are familiar with this. Right now, when we're talking about recreation, every child here in Camilla, they don't bounce a basketball or throw a football, but they are interested in arts. They're interested in technology. They're interested in science. And right now, we don't have a facility outside of school, if you will, for them to do that. So I call it passive recreation. And I think this is something that we're going to have a long-term discussion about. So there's no action that I'm requesting tonight, but as I've done in the past, I like to put it in the atmosphere because you know in about 30 to 60 days it's going to come strong. So I just want to put that in the atmosphere to make sure that we have a STEAM facility or something similar for our kids to engage in, for those that are not actively involved in your traditional sports, if you will. All right. 7, Camilla Youth Employment Program. Council, what you have in front of you is the memorandum or draft of the memorandum of understanding. This document has been sent to our city attorney for him to have a look at and possibly put this in resolution form if it needs to do that, if you will. But the goal is to, if we get the okay from him that this works, to have this voted on next Monday to approve the MOU with the Boys and Girls Club to start getting our kids working in this environment. And as Ms. Tucker mentioned, she had a question related to the wish nonprofits, if you will. And Ms. Tucker, I don't mind if you correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that was your question.
Yes.
That this is typically designed for Mitchell County nonprofits. So the Boys and Girls Club, if this MOU is approved, will be reaching out to the nonprofits in this area to see if you need help. And these kids will be paid, as we've talked about earlier, with the ARPA fund. So this isn't coming out of the standard budget, if you will. This is what this ARPA money is designed for. And with any luck, we're going to have these kids making their own money, contributing to their own households, but at the same time, learning what it means to serve members in their communities. So I'm very thankful for this council and your forward thinking on this deal. So at this time, Council, I'm asking, are there at least 3 council members that, contingent upon the approval of our city attorney, to move this item to a action item for next Monday night, or at least 3 council members?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Actually, give them consent. I would ask that if you would, I know you just spoke briefly to answer Ms.
Ms. Tucker.
Ms. Tucker, question about
the nonprofit, but could you also speak to who does this youth council, these youth who will be eligible as youth to be considered or either put in application for this program?
Oh, that is an awesome question. So right now, this council, or the majority of it anyway, we are committed to getting our youth involved in our economy and in the progress of our city. So there's a few different youth programs happening right now all at once. Indeed. So the youth employment program is for if you are a youngster between the age of 14 and 19 and you live in the corporate city limits of Camilla, you are eligible to apply for this program. And what we're hoping to do is have about somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 20 kids or teenagers, if you will, participating in this program. So these are individuals, young folks that are getting up between now and the end of March. This is supposed to be a summer program, but we wanted to make sure we did it right. So from now until October to March anyway, these young folks are going to be working for these nonprofits, making this money, and contributing to our economy and to their household. So if you are 14 to 19 years old and you live within the corporate city limits of Camilla, you're eligible to apply.
This is not tied to any school bounds within the county.
No, sir. That's right.
It's strictly for citizens of Camilla.
That's right. It doesn't matter where you go to school.
Okay.
If you live here in Camilla and you want to work and you get picked for this program, that's what's going to happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. City Manager, when you refer this to the attorney to put it in proper format, I think we need to also have some inclusion about a liability waiver for the city, for the students that are involved. And I do think that we need to have on bullet point number 1 some clarification, because that's indeed what I was hoping for as well, was that it included where it is the youth of the city of Camilla. We want to support nonprofits that are outside the city limits because they still service residents of the city. So just make sure in bullet point 1 it does include nonprofits within Mitchell County. And then on the bullet point that talks about ensuring all nonprofits comply with all state and federal laws, that is under the scope and responsibility of the Boys and Girls Club as the administrator. So I'm assuming all their 501c3 documentation and reporting, 1099s, all of that are current. And then lastly would be, I think it also needs to be identified in the MOU what staff person on the city is responsible for this program.
All right, so a couple of things that I want to unpack for the councilwoman. This is a policy document, ma'am. This is not an administrative document. This is something that the council will be voting on. This is a policy document, so those things that you're mentioning should have been directed to me. I want to remind everybody, especially the public, this is in 2 phases. This is the MOU. The actual outline of the program was already passed a month ago. So, everybody, when you come to, never mind. So here's the thing. All of that has already been covered. This is simply the execution of how it's going to be done. I think there was a 7 or 8 page document already created that says how this thing will operate. But great questions, Councilwoman. All right, any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Everybody good? All right. So again, are there at least 3 council members that want to see this as an action item for next Monday night? All right. Thank you, Council. All right, item 8, Camilla Youth Council application. Now, this application is inside of the packet here. This is the application. Again, the actual, what this program is, has already been discussed and passed. So now we're ready for our young folks to apply to be part of this program. So my question is, well, first, are there any questions related?
Well, I'm just gonna take one more attempt at imploring all of you to reconsider that a citizen that lives in the city limits of Camilla would be eligible to participate in our Camilla Youth Council program. I want to just state that if you look at our own charter, where we serve as city council members on the Camilla City Council, that this student who has come forward that has expressed interest and pleaded with this council to please consider, his parents pay taxes, he lives in the city. I checked with him today to get his birth date. On February 2024, he can run for the city council because he would be eligible because he lives in the city limits. But he's not eligible to serve on our own youth council. I just ask you that you just consider that before we address it next week. I yield back.
All right. Yes, sir.
I echo what Councilman Tucker, I didn't agree with this when brought up before, is ill-advised and ill-structured not to include any student that lives in and goes to school in this county. And it's just poorly drafted and poorly written.
All right, so, any other comments? Yes, sir. Mr. Collins.
I also want to echo that, and I notice he's not here anymore. I mean, I think we've, I don't know what, I think it's a bad decision to exclude anybody that lives in the city. I don't know where that's coming from, and he's a citizen of Camilla, and I think he should have been eligible.
Okay. Yeah, I want to remind everybody, this was a recommendation after discussion, with members of this council. But I think it's important to note, everybody around this table, I know folks have gotten real good at saying no to stuff, but I don't have a monopoly on ideas. If you want to present something to this council, nothing is stopping you. But I do believe it's a bit disingenuous that when these ideas are coming out and they're being churned out month after month after month, that for some the default position is bad. All right, bring your ideas to the table.
Mr. Mayor, that's exactly what the three of us have just done, is that we support the youth council. We want to see the youth council move forward. We're trying to ask the three of you to listen to the public. You've had speaker after speaker come up and say, why?
Oh,
and I can't get any of you to say why.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilmember Tucker. I didn't mean that we were actually debating this again. What I meant was, this has already been voted on, and if there's another idea for another program, you're more than welcome to produce it for this particular council. This has already been voted on. Tonight, what I'm asking, are there at least 3 council members that is ready to move the application to the next level and get it out on the street for these young folks can start applying? I would assume that if you're a council member that disagrees with the application, I'm sure that will be reflected in your vote. But for right now, I'm asking, are there at least 3 council members that want to move this application forward? All right. Thank you, Council. All right. Number 9, municipal election superintendent. As many know, we have already voted, and I think we got our new electronic voting machines are on the way. And in doing so, I think it'd be prudent, if you will, to elect a new or appoint a new municipal election superintendent. It is my intent, council, to nominate Sheriff Ford, our city clerk, and our assistant city manager as the new municipal election superintendent. I'll be doing that next Monday, but again, before I ask, are there at least 3 council members to move this forward for us to vote on that next week? Any comments, any questions? Okay. Are there at least 3 council members that would like to see this move to an action item next week? Okay. All right. Thank you, council. And then lastly for me, number 10, film production policy. So the city of Camilla, as you know, Georgia has become Hollywood of the East. And movies are being made in this state every single day. It will surprise you to know that the city of Camilla does not have a film production policy. But folks are making films 30 miles up the road. I've authored a film production policy for the city of Camilla, and I'll be forwarding this to our city attorney, but I also wanted to make sure that the council have a copy. It is time for us to get in this space. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot be raising taxes. We cannot be raising utility rates. We can't be doing that. It is time for us to make our own magic. And the fact that we are not in this game, if you will, the film production game, is not a good thing. But if all goes well between now and the next 30 days, we're going to let the world know that the city of Camilla is film production ready. These are the things that we're doing in this town. We're moving forward. We ain't playing with it at all. So, question is, so council, what I will do is I will ask if there are at least 3 council members that want to see this move forward, contingent upon the approval from our city attorney. If not, we'll definitely bring this thing back in October. But for right now, just in case we get that approval, are there at least 3 council members that would like to move the film production policy as submitted to next Monday night? All right, thank you, council. All right, at this time, number 11, implementation plan for marketing duties outlined in the strategic plan. Councilmember Tucker.
I will give the city manager the opportunity, if he prefers, to delay this till after the section in the call meeting, but I'll go ahead and just find out what your plan is for marketing duties. Because we have an extensive, I believe Ms. Rackley pointed out the 3 primary functions that were identified in the strategic plan as needs for marketing and communication and engagement. And so, but I will allow, if you prefer, to address it in the call meeting, or you can address it now. I just feel like we need to hear what the plan is for marketing.
Okay, certainly, Councilman Tucker and Mayor, Council, citizens, I think the primary thing that I need to look at, depending on what happens with the vote, I will begin to look at this marketing strategy. I will look at all the objectives that you placed for me already. And after I look at all the objectives in the strategic plan, allow me then to come up with an action plan. But at this point, I have not developed a new action plan for this item.
So at this point, you're not aware if you need internal staff or if you need to contract in terms of outsourcing, is what you're saying at this point?
No,
the city
ma'am.
manager as the person responsible.
No, ma'am, at this point, I'm simply telling you, I have not evaluated the plan enough to give you an action plan.
All right, I want to make sure everybody understands this. Everything that this discussion that was just happening here, that was a policy discussion. The city manager acts on the directives of the council. He has not been given that yet. The first thing we're going to have to do is figure out what a budget is going to be. And obviously, there may be more conversation about that at the call meeting. But I want to make sure that everybody understands that there is no directive that has been determined by this council for the city manager to act on. So I just want to make sure that was clear. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, I'll kick number 12 over to you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I have public safety coming before us next time, and human resources. I have delayed them for this meeting, pending this agenda that we have tonight. But they'll be coming next time after budget approval.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We've reached other. Any comments?
I'll definitely, like for city manager, I noticed, and I'm sure if some of the citizens have been driving north and south Highway 19, you have noticed some things out there that have beautified by bricks and mortar type bricks for sale. And it says City of Camilla, and an established date and all those things, which what I'm talking about is our wonderful and beautiful gateway signs. If you have not seen them, I encourage you to take a look at those gateway signs and see what is going on with the gateway signs to let people know that you have hit the beautiful state, the beautiful city of Camilla, and growing toward tomorrow, where we are ready to enhance and move forward this city into the 21st century. It is wonderful to drive out and see those things, Mr. City Manager, and just over a few months, diligently on the job, working with staff, no conflicts. We have been able to achieve a great deal of work that we have placed before you. And just to say it, I can speak for Councilman Pollard, I'm very appreciative of that. Working along with our city clerk, our assistant city manager, Cheryl Ford, who have taken a role to help insist you on these, since you've been here, getting all things done. When I tell you that woman have a job, she have a job. And it takes on a lot, but she don't complain. She gets it done. And I just want to say that I'm thankful and grateful for you as well, Ms. Ford. But my question to the city manager is the landscape and lighting piece of our gateway signs. Where are we with that? Does that include any of that project that we have going out there now?
Thank you, Councilman Pollard. First of all, let me just say thank you for saying that, but everybody know you're not successful by yourself. There's a bunch of department heads that support me every day, to include Ms. Ford. So on behalf of all of them, thank you. Reference to gateway signage that you mentioned. Since arriving here back in June, the year before I got here, Cheryl and I was talking, telling me things that we got to get so much done. Cheryl, you told me the truth. She did not exaggerate. So this is what I would say to you, council members. It is paramount that I have another resource to help me with so many projects. So I reached out to another firm that I think can have the agility to move quickly for me. And I've had them out here to look at some beautification projects already, to include the gateway signs, as well as some storm drainage projects. And I believe getting them on board for me fairly quickly, they can speed up the design process for us, and I can continue to keep these projects moving. So I've already asked them to come out. They've already sent me some proposals, so I'm going to be talking to you more about that tonight. But yes, sir, beautification is already in there, as well as taking care of some other projects. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And if I don't mind, 10 seconds. just gonna power on a little bit. 2 years we've been trying to get these signs done. 90 days. Just so you know. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any other questions? All right, so at this time, and I apologize to our gallery, awesome citizens, but if you don't mind, we're gonna now make our transition into our call meeting. However, what I will do, and if there's unanimous consent, we will adjourn from the work session, take a brief 5-minute recess, and come back. Absolutely. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
That firm that I was speaking about, Councilmember Pollard, is York and Associates that I had come out here. York and Associates. I had come out here to look at beautification floors as well as a storm drainage project. But I also want to ask you tonight about a police car. We had one total. We got about almost $20,000 from our insurance. And I need another probably 20 to make the police department whole. Now, I've already spoken to the police chief. He's found a vehicle that he needs. I just need your permission to take either the $20,000, $25,000 that I got left in capital improvement for that department anyway, to be able to secure this vehicle, and or I can get it from SPLOST. I prefer to get it from capital because it's already budgeted there. And so with your permission, I'd like to proceed with acquiring that vehicle for the police chief. This is the vehicle that the chief has come to me. He's talked to the vendor already. He's secured it. Just a matter of my getting permission from you all to proceed with the purchase.
What type of vehicle are we looking at?
Yes, sir. It is a 2021 Ford Explorer.
What was the vehicle that was totaled?
Now, I think it was a Charger, and I don't know the year. I apologize, but I don't know the year.
Is there any justification behind the type of vehicle request?
Yes, sir. The justification right now is supply and demand. The vehicles are going so quickly right now. We're talking, most people are waiting 6 to 8 months.
Well, I'm sorry. I was meaning a justification for the type of vehicle.
Oh, no, sir. This just what happened to be availability.
Okay.
That's
so
it. Yes, sir. I think what he wanted was not necessarily the Ford Explorer. Might have wanted to stay with what he has right now, but it comes down to availability.
Is there a contract that we do with Dodge? That these cars are going to be lease?
You talking about you still state contract through enterprise as well?
Lease, like every 10 years or so we change vehicles or so? Or we buy these cars?
Well, yeah, but you're talking about two different things then. Yeah. So, yeah, you're talking about replacement after useful life. What I'm talking about is one that's been totaled, and I got to replace.
And the car that was being replaced was a Dodge Charger.
Yes, sir. Thoughts, questions?
I think that I have expressed more than once. For me, in which when it's not on the table that you're asking for, it's for if it pickups.
No, sir, I'm not asking.
I know you're not asking, but that is one of the things that I would like to see go away. Is the pickup, and the negativity behind that pickup, that like a piece of behind that pickup. And I would see justification of making the arrest, hauling someone down to, booking someone down to the police department. I don't see how we could do that maneuver safely in handcuff, have to a vehicle, in a small space.
Yes, sir.
I think we really does harm to put ourselves against the liability. When we're doing those things. So I think that we, overall, we look at the policy overall and what we're doing. Is there what we operating with now, is it not sufficient? Or do we have someone that do not have vehicles as an employer? Then we can't.
Certainly, if I have to tighten up some strings somewhere and reallocate some vehicles, I could probably try to do that. But what I'm bringing before you tonight is what our chief of police is asking for.
I think it's already working, it's not working now. I don't foresee the need to actually go and spend the capital on the vehicle. If what we have now is working for us, I know we said there's a need, but if it's working now.
Well, keep in mind, Councilman, it's working for, in the short term. 20,000 of these dollars, or you receive them back from the total vehicle. I'm only asking for another 20 from capital, not the full 45 or 50,000 dollars.
I say that capital improvement or something else.
May I address the city manager? I certainly have no problem supporting what the police chief has indicated to you as a need. My question is going back to York and Associates. Is that a local landscape company? I'm not familiar with them.
It is not a landscape company. It's engineering and geotechnical and engineering. If I'm not, I don't mess up
I
their
thought
name.
you had said you were using or having them look at the landscaping for the gateway signs.
That is also part of their portfolio.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that we also include local landscape companies to be able to have the opportunity to be involved in that.
Well, once I prepare the bid, absolutely, it will be open for everyone.
I just wasn't familiar with York, that's why I wanted to find
Yes,
out what they were. Thank you.
Where are they from?
They're from, if I'm not mistaken, Thomasville.
Our local should be given opportunity to bid as on anyway.
Okay. Well, I haven't bidded anything. Once I bid it out, certainly I'm going to bid it out to the masses. This is only the firm to help me in the design process.
I think we have to get that done before we actually bid.
Right. Right.
Okay, so a couple of things, Mr. City Manager. There were two, in reference to the vehicle. The initial thought was that the 25,000 was going to come from SPOS, but I'm hearing now that you want to go ahead and do the money that's already allocated out of the capital improvement fund. So I think the fact that that's already in the budget, you won't need our approval. It's already been done.
Okay.
So that's right. So,
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to bring it to council.
and we appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yes, sir. I'm sure we all do. Thank you.
And the last thing, Mr. Mayor, as we continue to think about keeping and moving forward, or as my good Councilman Pollard taught me, growing Camilla forward, I want to talk about a grant writer. I think that's going to be something that I'm going to bring back to you very soon, because I think now that there's so many grants out there, and yours truly can begin to write some of them, but if I'm writing all of them, then my focus is not on probably some city manager stuff that I need to be doing. So I'm going to come back to you and probably ask you to allow me to begin researching for a grant writer. And I think that will help us gather more funding and, of course, continue to move the city forward.
I would suspect this will be something that you will be allocated in the budget process.
I'm gonna put it in this year's budget. I just want to make sure you guys know about it before I stand and say to you, this is where I want to go.
And this year, you mean fiscal year 22-23?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the upcoming. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Okay. Any other questions for the city manager? And then lastly, council, I'll get back with you later this week. But I want to, just like I did with Ms. Tucker, make my notes here, because I do listen when folks are here talking to us. And I remember Ms. Spicer was talking about the, looking for a grant for haul away, and correct me if I'm wrong, debris of the facility that you just purchased on 19. And I'm not sure if everybody's seen that. If you're heading south, it's on that big white building. That's right. And it's that clearing that's needing to get hauled away. So with that being said, and as Ms. Spicer pointed out, we've already done this before. We've done it with Quail Valley, up to I believe it was $10,000 or $12,000. Don't know what this will cost, but I think considering that property had just been sitting there for years, and it's literally across the street from Quail Valley, if I'm not mistaken, it had been sitting there for years. The Spicers have invested to turn that thing around. So I think the public purpose there is pretty clear if we can help with that. And again, this is something that we've done in the past. So I think over the next couple of days, we get with the city manager and maybe the city attorney and see what it would take for us to potentially do that again. So you may see that again, council, on Monday. And if it does pop up, if we're able to do it, if we're able to do it, then I may ask for a motion to add it to the agenda. So, any questions regarding that?
Just a question. I think, just as you were just mentioning, the property adjacent, which is 12 Valley Street across from it, I recall that he was during that process of renovating those apartments out there. There were some things that was adjacent across the street that concerned him that was on the sewer side.
Right.
That he had issues with, and he brought those to the table before our city manager, old city manager, and those probably have not been corrected yet. So I think that it kind of works itself out with them doing what they're doing out there, and see what way we can help and assist in those matters. I look forward to that. I think that we kind of solved two problems in one. Because he did have issues with the water running over to his property over on Quail Valley side.
I think the good news with that, I think DOT took care of it. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Issue there.
Mm-hmm. I think it came out. So again, council, you may see that again. I'm gonna look into that for the next couple of days. All right. So, any other questions or comments? All right, so at this time, council, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the work session and to take a 5-minute break and come in. We only have 2 items for the call meeting, so we'll come right on back. So and that's a hard 5 minutes. Unless the council, you want to go ahead and move on through. Move on through.
Make a motion to move on through.
Okay. All right. All right, so is there, okay. All right, so we are adjourned from our work session, and right now I will call our call meeting to order, and I will ask our city clerk, Sheriff Ford, to call the roll, please.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
All right, thank you, council, and thank you, Cheryl. At this time, I'd like to turn to our Mayor Pro Tem to lead us in prayer, please.
your heads with me in prayer. God, we give you thanks for your continued grace and mercy over this community and across our global community. Lord, and we just give you thanks for always and continuing to make ways out of no way for this community. God, as we continue to look to you, as we lead this community, we ask that you continue to bless all that we set out to do, because it is truly for the uplift and betterment of your kingdom. In this name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, everybody. All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight? Second. Now, motion to properly second, any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right. All opposed? Councilman Palmer? Okay, thank you. All right, speaker appearances. Ms. Terraside.
Hey, I'm Terry Shaw.
Yes,
Obviously, I've been prepared today.
All right.
For listening and doing a lot of thinking and I just got a question. I don't understand, why you all chose to eliminate, Paige's position, with all the monies that have been allocated everywhere. I don't quite understand, the reasoning behind that. I don't know, if it's, well, I don't really know exactly what I want to say, except that I do ask and I do request, please, that you all would visit the fact that you all have suggested that needs to be eliminated from the budget, her position. I just wonder if it was your family member that had been here all their life, would you vote, if it was your family member, would you vote to tell them to hit the road? I just ask you to please take it in your heart and just answer that question. I know you can't answer me, but answer that to your own self, to your own board. And I request to say, I just ask that you just please think about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Shriver. So let me just make sure that, are there any other speaker appearances? Anybody? All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. The first item is the position classification and pay plan amendment. Council, you have that in front of you, and the document that you're looking at, you see the top, or that yellow portion, is the exempt positions. And as you can see, this is as of, so what you're voting on tonight will be effective tonight. So this is September 6, 2022. On the backside, you see the changes that have been made since the beginning of the fiscal year. But understand that the vote tonight the whole plan, the whole position and classification plan will become effective today, September 6th. So I just want to make sure that you understood that particular piece. And specifically, as you've heard tonight, specifically the communications and marketing position and the assistant utilities director position from this document has been removed from the exempt positions on this particular document. So at this time, is there a motion to amend the position classification and pay plan as presented, effective tonight, September 6, 2022, specifically removing the communications and marketing director and the utilities, assistant utilities director position. Is there a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion to properly second. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make some comments, please.
Sure.
We had a public hearing tonight about a little small section of a street. And the mayor commented over and over during that public hearing to the audience that was here. The audience being people that lived in that area that had very good, valid points. And the other part of the audience being a corporate citizen who had good, valid points. The mayor said many times during that meeting, because I wrote it down and put it in quotation marks, what you say matters. Well, it mattered at the public hearing, but I can tell you, the ones of you who have been faithful to come to this meeting over and over, month after month, it does not matter to the mayor what you say.
Hold on now. Be very careful.
I want to bring out some points that were brought in the conversation tonight, was that this position is being eliminated to save money. Well, first, this position was created because in September of last year, the council identified that engaging with the community, communicating what was happening in the city, internal communication, external communication, all of that, in September of 2021 was approved that this needed to happen. And this position was formed. Paige Gilchrist was hired for this position in January. Now, none of that has changed. We still need communication. We still need marketing. We still, every single day, we cannot outsource day-to-day communication, which was the purpose of me asking the city manager, who's going to do it? Who on staff is going to do it? And we just find out as a council tonight, even though I've requested this information earlier, we find out tonight that it's going to happen tonight. Paige's last day was when she leaves here. That's going to happen tonight. But with respect to the saving of money, it's as hard for the citizens who are calling me to understand that argument of the mayor saying this is a cost-saving measure when I took the time to look at the minutes from February 2022 through, we don't have the July nor August minutes yet, but I did go back and look at our agenda. So from February 2022 through August 2022, that's 7 months. The majority on this council, and all of you have been here, you know who voted for this. You know how our votes have gone 3-3 with the mayor breaking every time. $5,644,000 have been allocated from this council in 7 months. That's a lot of money for our community. I've mentioned this to the city manager, that I am very concerned about the message that this sends from the council to the city employees. Our greatest resource is our city employees. The message that this council is about to send: your job's not secure. This council can change the pay classification and eliminate you out of a position. It's not secure. And the last thing that I want to say is that the mayor has presented to us his plan for outsourcing. Again, I do not see how you can outsource day-to-day communications when things go on in our community and you need to get the word out, and that with everything that has been said, the job is being fulfilled right now according to our strategic plan. But the mayor has this plan to outsource to a company in Albany. They're called RZ Vision. Capital R, capital Z, VIZION. Well, I just thought, well, I probably should take a look, because we're about to head that way. I probably should take a look at some of their material to make sure. I caution anyone not to look at their product. It was pornography. It was vile. I could not watch but a few seconds of it. I appreciate so much all of you who continue to say what a great place Camilla is. It's been my home for 12 years. I have loved it. But we are heading in a dark, dangerous direction in our community. We need to come together as a council. When we can't even agree on something as simple as letting a kid that lives in the city limits participate in a city program, when this council can't even agree on something that minor, I do wish you would listen to the wisdom that Councilman Brian Campbell started the meeting off with tonight, is that there's got to be some unity. There's got to be some communication. I can't even have communication. We have got to come together as a council, and we have got to work together. Eliminating positions because the mayor chooses to eliminate is not the way for us to come together. I can tell you, it's all you're doing is drawing a line. It is not the way for us to come together as a community. We need to do what's best for the entire city. That needs to be our focus. What is best for the entire city? Please keep that in mind when this vote is about, and the mayor said last week, this isn't about people. I want you to look in the back of the room at somebody who's lived here her entire life, not somebody that lives in a loft apartment that moved here from Atlanta. I'm talking about looking in the back of the room at somebody who's lived in this community, who's gone to school in this community, who went off to college but came back to serve in this community and worked in economic development and now with the city. But you're saying, oh, I agree with the mayor, it's not about people. We'll just bring somebody from Albany in here to do this that has this vulgarity on Facebook.
So what I'm gonna do right there, council member, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the opportunity right now. And if not, council, I will be coming back to you for some type of action. Ma'am, you have the floor. No, ma'am. You have the floor to explain to the public and to this council when this council voted on approving any contract for any video firm out of Albany, Georgia. Now, you
I
gave,
said you
no ma'am,
proposed
no
it.
ma'am,
I said you proposed
no
it.
ma'am. You put it out there in the atmosphere. Do you want to take the time to remind the public when we voted on that?
If you'll go back and listen to what I said, the mayor is proposing to outsource this.
When did the mayor, ma'am, because this is important, and Madam City Clerk, please make sure you get this information correct, please. Please make sure you get this information correct. When did the mayor of this city propose to award a contract to any video production company in Albany, Georgia. Give me the date. Give me the time. You know what? You ain't got to give the time. Give the date when the mayor of this city, Mayor Kelvin Maurice Owens, asked for a motion to approve a contract for any video company, regardless of where they're located at.
You did not propose.
Well, you just said I did.
I said you proposed. You have not given a contract. You sent an email. I'll be glad to read the email because it is public record.
Council, I will be coming to you potentially here in the next week with an item to ensure that the actions of this council member and the statements of this council member are dealt with appropriately. You have exactly 1 week then. I look forward to that information. So what we're looking for is the
Are
day.
you saying you did not send an email proposing
ma'am. Oh, no,
that
we're-
you outsource it?
No, I'm going to tell you right now. You said that the mayor proposed. It is proposing.
Outsource
No, ma'am.
this.
To a company, you gave the companies, you spelled the name, if my memory serves me right, out of Albany, Georgia.
From the email that I have in my possession.
There were 3 quotes, or at least 2.
There were 2.
Yes, ma'am.
There were 2 quotes.
Okay, but you said, but you know what, I'm not going to debate this with you. I'm going to make a motion, potentially, next Monday night. But you'll have all this week to find that in the record where the mayor of this town proposed it.
Do you want me to pull the email? I have the email. Every member of council has the email.
You will be able to present it.
Every member of council has this email.
No,
And
you-
you're denying the email?
You will have your opportunity that I proposed to award a
You're
contract.
talking semantics here.
Sure.
You sent an email, and if you'll give me time, I'll find it, and I'll read it into the record. If someone else might have a comment, I'll find the email.
All right.
We want to hear email.
Oh, no. Yeah, sir, you're going to have more than that. You will have more than that. And council, I'm asking for unanimous consent to have the councilwoman. I gave her a week to do it, but I guess she's trying to find it now. Where the mayor of this town proposed to award a contract to a company's, I think you spelled it A-Z or whatever the case
Yeah,
may
would
be.
you, I would be glad to read the email dated August the 19th. And it says, "Hi, council members, I hope all is well."
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm making sure that you were,
The floor is yours, ma'am.
and it says, "As chief policy advocate for the city of Camilla, I've included my recommended changes for the FY 22-23 proposed budget, our most important policy document. The justification for my recommendation is as follows," and this is the recommendation: to remove the assistant utility director and director of marketing and communication from the position classification plan. Allocate a one-time grant of $5,000 ARPA funds to the library instead of the requested $3,000 annual increase from the operating budget. And let me see if I can, I'm gonna move through the utilities director. That position is open, is that correct? That's what I understood, that it is open at this point. We do not have someone in that position. Somebody's not
Yeah,
in.
you said you read from the email.
Number 2, the Director of Marketing and Communication. I recommend removing this position and salary from the position classification and pay plan because it creates an operational redundancy. Whereas the thesis and intent of this position are applauded, the reality is that this position, estimated at $70,000 to $80,000, including salary, benefits, and departmental budget, is or was already being funded and achieved and contracted by the Chamber, the Downtown Camilla, and the Mitchell County Economic Development. That said, it is important to note that leveraging the funding previously allocated, future outsourcing can significantly reduce the cost of this position while producing a much more enhanced product. I estimate that the core functions of this position with a comprehensive M&C plan will reduce this department budget by nearly 70%. I estimate the revised budget to be at 2030. And the attachment attached to that is RZ Vision LLC from Albany in the amount of $6,642 for 6 promotional videos. And there's another attachment to Broza Films, and I believe they're Tallahassee because they have a Tallahassee exchange number here, and their amount is $16,000. And then there are other attachments giving me copies of social media plans by the month, and then there's a photo of the mayor at the council meeting.
Yeah, so to my knowledge, and I appreciate you reading that, council member, for the record, I don't hear anything in there that says, I propose that we order or contract any particular company to do anything for the city of Camilla. Now, that wasn't Owen's reading. That was Councilmember Tucker reading.
There was an attachment there, and I'm just stating that when I researched who you recommended, oh, it was just a random attachment, I'm sorry.
No, ma'am. So council, as I've expressed to the council member, she still has the 5 days to figure this out. But next Monday night, there's a real good possibility. I told them, but there's a real good possibility I'm going to be asking this council for action. All right. Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Since we're deep into threats and innuendos, the positions that we are eliminating are, of course, everybody knows that's part of the mayor's agenda. We understand all that. But question on the budget is proposed for 2023. Downtown Camilla budget has a line item that says marketing and clothing for 2023, $55,000. Now, is that the money that this gives had been paid and it's transferred over to the downtown Camilla marketing and clothing? Is that right?
No, sir.
What is it?
So, two things. I have to answer your question this way, Councilman Palmer, and I'm going to answer. We've been talking tonight about the strategic plan. And as I mentioned last week or our last meeting, the strategic plan as it's presented, I wrote it. So I know what's in it because I authored it. Now, there are 2 documents. There's the source document that I created. And this document was used to create what is now being called the approved strategic plan. Now, to answer Councilman Palmer's question, there's a consistent statement because in order for the strategic plan, we have to say what resources do you need to do this. Everybody, y'all with me on that? You have to tell the budget what do you need to achieve this particular thing. Here is what has been the consistent language in the approved strategic plan. I wrote this down. Unanimously approved. Y'all ready? Resources required include consumer, video / audio equipment, and a dedicated marketing budget. Not a dedicated marketing person. To answer Councilman Palmer's question, when this position was created, it was created without a budget. The only thing that was budgeted, that $55,000, is the salary. That's it. This is how much we're going to pay you to do the work. The piece that says, here's what we're going to allocate for you to do that work, was never done. So they had to find somewhere to put it. And to the councilman's point, they put it under the downtown section because there was nowhere else to put it. So that's the answer. So yes, sir, that's just strictly salary.
Well, you understand that this appears to you have anything, here we go.
All right, thank you. All right, so, any other comments? All right. Any other comments? All right. One of the things that I've been mentioning here tonight, everybody, is that the only thing that was talked about, if you will, in the marketing plan and the communications plan was a dedicated budget. That was it. That never existed. It will in 2023, 22-23 budget, but it wasn't in this budget. So we're going to fix that. What I'm recommending is that the current position, Communications and Marketing Director, there's $55,000 worth of salary and estimated $11,000 in benefits and another potential $15,000 to $20,000 as a budget. That's approaching $80,000, if not already passed. To do the Facebook thing that we're doing tonight, a more enhanced product, potentially, and I would argue that it is, it's going to run this city somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000. Now, these are the documents that the councilwoman is talking about, because I can't tell the council and the public, because as Councilmember Tucker pointed out, my email is a public document. I can't tell the public or this council that we need to do this or that and not tell you how to pay for it. I can't do that. So what I did was I gave examples, quotes, if you will, in an email. Everybody would have done that? One quote was for $6,000, $1,000 a video. What I told the folks was that if we had 6 to 10 videos, and I outlined in the quote what that would entail. How-to videos, visit Camilla. We're talking about on television regionally. All right? The lowest was 6,000, the highest was 16,000. Even if you take the 16,000 and add the 6 for this, for the Facebook stuff, you're at $22,000 versus 80,000. I projected 30. You still got $8,000 more. There are professional companies that manage social media. Now, the term cost savings, I prefer to use efficiency. We are paying the chamber somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000. We're doing $40,000 to the Mitchell County Economic Development. And then we also have a downtown department. We're already spending almost $100,000. As the councilwoman mentioned in my email, I said we have to start leveraging that. We haven't been doing that. We need to start. That's what this proposal was about. Now everybody's trying to, or some folks around here mentioning names. The mayor of this town is talking about a position. That's it. And I recognize that some will probably want to make this personal, and that I can't do anything about that. I can't. So I'm not going to try to. This has absolutely nothing to do in terms of my recommendation about any current employee of this city. This is about function. And I believe we can do it more efficiently. All right. Any other comments? All right, we got a motion that's been properly seconded. Last chance, any other discussion? All right. All in favor of amending the current position classification and pay plan, specifically removing the communications and marketing director and the assistant utilities director, and as presented, effective September 6th, 2022. So effectively at the vote. All in favor? All opposed? The mayor votes yes. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, council. All right, the next item. The next item is the Elm Street closure request. Is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve the request of Golden Peanut to section off that portion of Ellis Street as presented, contingent upon them having flagging there to direct emergency vehicles and potentially any school bus? Is there a motion? We have a motion. All right. Motion dies for a lack of second. Motion fails. All right. Any other questions?
Can,
Yes, sir.
can I offer a substitute motion? Just to see if a substitute motion might pass?
Well, there is no substitute motion because his motion failed. And unless you're doing it, because it's a call meeting, we have to obviously stick to what was mentioned in the call. All right. Any other questions? All right, council, we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We are adjourned. Thank you, council.